Welcome to the Nevis newscast for Thursday, June 17th, 2021. I am Fredicia Librard.
We received word that the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis has recorded its first death as a result of COVID-19.
The Honorable Akila Byron Nisbet made that disclosure on Thursday, June 17th, during a press conference jointly hosted by the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of National Security.
We wish to extend condolences to the family and loved ones of the dearly departed. We have repeatedly said that we are not immune to the ravages of COVID-19, including severe disease and death. While we mourn the loss of our first citizen, my trust is that this will serve as a wake-up call for all.
Meantime, at Thursday's press conference, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Hazel Laws reported that the Ministry of Health is currently monitoring more than 200 active cases of COVID-19 in St. Kitts and Nevis.
At present, a cadre of case managers and physicians are monitoring 208 active cases. Over this 4-week period, we've had 12 hospitalizations, COVID-19 related hospitalizations. Please note that 7 of these cases have since been discharged. So at present we have 5 cases in hospital. At about 12:14 this afternoon, we were notified of the first COVID-19 related death.
Among the active cases of COVID-19 in the Federation are a number of inmates at Her Majesty's prison in St. Kitts.
We continue contact tracing in the prison. Other inmates who are experiencing symptoms will be tested. So there will be serial testing of inmates in Her Majesty prison so that we can pick up additional cases at the soonest. All the cases that have been identified in isolation, all the implicated cells have been, 4 have been, the additional implicated cells will be professionally sanitized. And so we would continue monitoring all the inmates at Her Majesty's prison at this time.
A total of 39 persons at Her Majesty's prison have tested positive for COVID-19.
As of today, June 17, 2021, a total of 37 residents, inmates, and 2 members of staff have tested positive for COVID-19. Her Majesty's prison recorded its first confirmed case last week on June 10th after the return of a resident's test results. The following day, the test results for 2 members of staff were positive as well. Authorities in the Ministry of Health have been testing both personnel and residents. A mass testing exercise was conducted on Tuesday, June 15th, when members of the National COVID Task Force and representatives from the Ministry of Health visited Her Majesty's prison. While testing has not yet been completed, more than half of the staff and just about half of the residents have been swabbed.
Commissioner of Corrections Terence James noted that the female section of Her Majesty's prison has not been infected. He also noted that the management and staff are doing everything in their power to protect the inmates and staff at the prison.
Other staff members who had been identified were placed in quarantine and tested. Thankfully, this result has returned negative for the members of staff so far. As a result of this, we move swiftly to implement measures to protect the health of personnel and residents. I want to assure the general public that we are doing everything we can to safeguard the health of all concerned at Her Majesty's prison. My management team and I have been working closely with the National COVID-19 Task Force and have been receiving advice from the the CMO, Dr. Laws, and what steps to be taken to contain the situation at Her Majesty's prison. An isolation area has been established inside the prison where affected residents have been placed, and we are currently identifying additional space to house those who need to be removed from the general population to prevent a further spread of the virus at the facility.
The Commissioner of Corrections, who was speaking at a press conference held by the Ministry of National Security and the Ministry of Health on Thursday, June 17th, also noted that the cells that housed the positive cases have been professionally sanitized and every effort is being made to keep the virus out of the prison. Meantime, the Ministry of Health has started the process of identifying the variant of COVID-19 that is being experienced in St. Kitts and Nevis. That disclosure was made by Chief Medical Officer Dr. Hazel Laws on Wednesday, June 16th.
The Ministry of Health sent off samples to 2 shipments of samples to the Caribbean Public Health Agency in Trinidad. And so we are presently awaiting the results from genomic sequencing evaluation that we are expecting to be conducted on these samples. So at present, we are unable to, tell you emphatically which variant is in circulation because we are waiting the results from the genomic sequencing exercise. The samples have been shipped already.
Chief Medical Officer Dr. Hazel Laws.
You're expected to do more. You're expected to produce more for the department. You're expected to do much, much more than you'd have done from those small environments that you were in down there in Charlestown.
Minister of Agriculture, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, recently outlined his expectations of the staff at the Department of Agriculture's Marketing Division now that its new agricultural depot has been commissioned. The $500,000 cold storage facility stores up to 25,000 pounds of fresh produce grown in Nevis.
This is a very clean, welcoming, and really a beautiful place to work now. So it should bring out a different type of attitude from you on the job moving forward. You're expected to keep the necessary data that is required to ensure that we're heading in the right direction. We need to keep these data because it is important to reflect upon them as you plan and move into the future. This building was built because we understand the potential is there to do more. The potential is there to reach out to all our stakeholders and say we have the goods that you're looking for or the products that you're looking for.
Minister Jeffers admonished the staff at the new agricultural depot to interact more with stakeholders, including farmers.
We are now thinking that based on what we will achieve here over the next couple of years, there is absolutely enough room here for expansion. This is just a beginning. It is a beginning because we are asking all farmers to plant more, grow more, do more in farming so that we can be your facilitator. I've said to all farmers, your job is to plant. Our job is to sell. We want to be that point of sale for you, and then we can definitely provide the services needed to our supermarkets and our hotels.
The agricultural depot has been named in honor of a former employee of the Department of Agriculture, the late Lawrenson Parry. Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate CSEC exams will proceed with strict COVID-19 measures in place. At a press conference held by the Ministry of Education to inform the public on matters related to the administration of CSEC 2021 examinations, National Examinations Registrar Solomon Claxton indicated that there are changes to the exam protocols due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
When we took into account what is happening on the ground in the Federation and how we would be able to conduct the assessment in a safe manner, we at the ministry left, in our estimation, no stone unturned. And then subsequently, when we met with our own local COVID-19 task force, they added their input in how we can fortify the methods that I would outline to you. Since then, we have made further adjustments where we were not able to be adequately convinced that the activity could be executed safely. We would have suspended that activity for further visitation to ensure that students are able to be assessed in a safe environment.
The Ministry of Education will also ensure that all personnel adhere to the COVID-19 protocols in relation to the administration of examinations.
We have examiners that exist that come from Nevis to St. Kitts. We also have examiners that travel from St. Kitts to Nevis. As part of this process, on either island, where there's an examiner that may not have transportation, that driver would be collected from their place of abode, taken to Uvali Beach in Nevis, transported to Reggae Beach, and then moved to their respective venues. For examiners in St. Kitts going to Nevis, they would drive to the Stanford building location, and then they would be taken to Reggae Beach, and then similar process exists in terms of them getting over to Nevis. As part of the sanitization process that would take place, each of the drivers would be outfitted with hand sanitizer. They also have either Clorox or Lysol disinfectant spray. When they collect the examiner or the officer, they would sanitize, take the temperature, they would log the temperature. The examiners, in addition to what would have been mentioned, hand sanitizer, face mask, will also be outfitted with face shields.
Claxton noted that these COVID-19 prevention measures would be futile if they are not implemented in the households of the exam candidates.
If the SBA, school-based assessment, is not completed and students write the written exam, paper 2, paper 1, and paper 3 in the case of private candidates, then a grade cannot be issued. It is against this backdrop that the Ministry of Education, we deemed it necessary to do what is necessary to ensure that our students in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis are not disadvantaged in any way. Recognizing that the current state in our federation as it relates to the spread of the COVID-19 virus is very serious. And while we at the Ministry of Education are doing what we can to safeguard your children, your guardian, your loved ones, when they leave their homes and return there, we are asking you to help us and to assist us at the home front to ensure that the measures that will be implemented are also executed at home.
National Examinations Registrar Solomon Claxton. That's it for this edition of the Nevis Newscast. On behalf of all of us here at the Department of Information, I'm Freddie Silibird. Thank you for viewing.